All right, welcome everybody. This is Rising Tide LinkedIn Live on LinkedIn. If you're watching or listening on the digital hospitality feed, we hope you join us on LinkedIn Live. I'm Mike Biseglia. I am a Cali BBQ media producer. Sean is out today, so filling in and looking to have a good time doing this. I've been coming to these events now for 4 or 5 weeks, and it's been really cool to get to know everybody, get to hear all the different topics that are related to personal and business. And I've really enjoyed it. It's been cool to hear everybody's different perspective. And I think one of the keys for me has been knowing that I'm not alone in a lot of topics that, you think you're going through solo, but you realize even if it is originating in the business landscape, that we all kind of do this together. For anybody new or listening to the listening to the digital hospitality feed, you can find these live on LinkedIn Wednesday and Friday. 6 p.m. London time, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. I am in the Eastern time zone, so it's been interesting in learning that the Pacific time zone uh, functioning with that, but making the time change and the adjustments. So thank you, everybody, for popping in today's group. And with today, I've listened for the last couple of weeks, and this topic's come up, and it's kind of woven through other topics. So I thought it was interesting and one to bring up today. Working with young kids or working with kids in general, um, I think for me, and I'll get into a little bit more, but as a parent with two young kids, it's a different way of life, and it has changed me completely. And I was really excited to get the rest of the group's perspective on this, and really thrilled for the conversation. So with that, we'll kick it off, and I'll hand it over to Gavin, who we had a nice call earlier today, going over some of the notes for some other projects we're working on. But Gavin, take it away.
Yeah, I'm Gavin. I'm a producer at Cali BBQ Media. I have a little one myself, so thank you, Michael, for this topic, bringing this discussion forward, because as a parent of a 1-year-old, I could use all the tips and tricks you guys have out there. So excited to hear from parents with little ones and also parents that have been through this before, and have some wisdom to share. We always need to be seeking out wisdom from others. So excited to get this conversation going, and I'll kick it back to you, Michael.
Cool. Thank you, Gavin. And Elizabeth, what are you up to? What do you believe in? And where are you?
Yes. Today I'm running around because my sister has her kids at Disney and their cat is sick. So I got to shove a pill down a cat's throat this morning. So that's called love and a sister's duty so that they can enjoy Epcot with their full attention. My name is Elizabeth Doss. I live in Greenville, South Carolina, and I'm a motion graphic designer. I create animated GIFs for social media, allowing brands to interact with their communities in fun, animated ways, bringing joy, etc. I personally do not have children, but I have some thoughts on how it's specific. Maybe I might take a different take on it a little bit, but I love when people are able to include their children in what they're doing because, like Sean always says about this, it is definitely a family affair. Anyway, back to you, Michael.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Elizabeth. And I'm a cat person myself. I have a cat named Leon. As I open up about my life, Leon is 8 years old, Maine Coon. And before I had children, Leon was the first baby in my life, and love my cat. Also want to mention, if you want to get up on stage, please raise your hand. Gavin, who's helping me out, assisting me, and Stover as well, to keep an eye for people who want to jump up on stage. Cool. Stover, what are you up to? What do you believe in? And where are you?
Hey everyone, my name is Stover. I'm here from Portland, Oregon, part of the Cali BBQ Media team. Very excited to be able to unload with people about how hard it is working with young kids, because I think that's the implication of the title. If it was easy and great and all rainbows and sunshine, then we wouldn't have even had a room about it probably. So nothing has been harder than being a parent, and nothing has been harder than being a parent and working from home. However, nothing has been more rewarding than being a parent, and my career has never felt more exciting and free than when I've been able to work from home with kids. So it's an important topic in that regard, because I kind of need this to take the career where I want it to go. I need this to take my life where I want it to go. So I have to figure out how to make it work and flourish within these confines of children that I've presented myself with. by breeding.
Thank you for sharing that, Stover. I agree completely 100% on both sides of what you had mentioned. So excited to hear you speak, but thank you. Troy Hooper, you're up next. What are you up to? What do you believe in? And where are you?
Hello, everybody. Calling from Westlake Village, California, on my way to sunny Cerritos, California, where my boss is waiting for me to have a couple of meetings and show him our new store in Irvine, California. My name's Troy Hooper. I'm the CEO of Hot Palate America. We're the private equity holding company for a brand called Pepper Lunch Restaurants, 520 stores in 16 countries, and growing rapidly in Southern California and many other states in the U.S., along with some organic growth globally. What do I believe in? I believe that family's everything. Family first. We've had some situations at work with some of my coworkers this week where, grace had to be given and people needed to be given the space and time to take care of family situations and personal issues. And to me, that's full stop. Like, I believe that nothing. We're not solving cancer here. Like, we're opening and running restaurants. So a day or two or a week of somebody needing time is important, and we got to give that space and make sure they feel loved and cared for and supported, and that's what I believe in.
Cool. Thank you for sharing that, Troy. And I always think back, like for myself, if there was something I'm stressed out about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I couldn't even tell you 2 days ago. I have no idea what it was because things move so fast. But being with your family, you don't forget that forever. So I 100% on board with that kind of mentality. So thank
And
you.
Michael, if you don't mind, one of these days I'm going to practice my pitch and remember that I'm also a podcast host. So for those listening after the fact, please check out the Pineapple Perspective with Troy Hooper, sponsored by Pepper Lunch Restaurants, anywhere you listen or view such things like YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. Thanks.
Perfect. Mandy, what are you up to? What do you believe in? And where are you?
Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. It's nice to be back. I know I've been out for a couple of weeks. I am in San Diego, California. My name is Mandy Graziano. What I'm up to today is just heads up for other people using LinkedIn Live for their podcasts. They added a new feature that it presents a glitch. So I've been interacting with LinkedIn support, chat support, which by the way is quite fast over the last hour. When you're creating a LinkedIn Live, they added a new field that says, is this a test? And they automatically fill that button in. And then if you create an invite that way for your event, for your podcast or your live, then it's not visible to other people. So don't make the same mistakes I did with this new feature. I had to delete the old event, create a new event. That's what I'm up to right now. But I'm all about learning new technologies, and I am also all about kindness is king. I think you can be a shrewd negotiator. I think you can be an assertive business person. I think you can be a super successful in whatever you do, and you can still be kind. And remember that everybody is just doing their best.
Thank you for sharing, Mandy. Very true. Mercedes, you are up next.
Hello.
What are you up to? What do you believe in? Where are you?
Happy Friday. You'll probably hear Leia in the background. Mercedes coming at you from sunny San Diego. This is such a great topic. And I think it's funny because I worked 3 jobs and I went to college full time. And I thought that was hard. And then I had 2 kids and worked full time from home. And there really is no bigger task to complete than working with kids. So looking forward to the conversation.
Cool. Absolutely, Mercedes. Thank you. Hildy, what are you up to? What do you believe in? And where are you?
Happy Friday, everybody. I'm Hildy. I sell swag for a living. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. And I am going to be a kid again because tomorrow morning I am hiking in the North Georgia mountains to an inn that you can only get to by hiking that is 5 miles up in Amicalola Falls. It's called the Hike Inn. And I'm going to sleep there in like a bunk with communal everything Saturday night and Sunday night and hike home on Monday. So put a diaper in me, baby. I'm a kid again.
All right, cool. Thanks for sharing. Richard Liverman. And programming note, Richard will be hosting on Wednesday where we will be talking about our mentors. So, Richard, good to see you. I'm excited for Wednesday. What are you up to? What do you believe in? And where are you?
Thank you very much. Hello, I'm Richard. I live by a mantra of don't be boring, which manifests itself in a work sense in branding, coaching, and mentoring, which I'm looking forward to the discussion next week. I've just got back from a holiday or as vacation, as you guys would say. And I also have a side role of being the cultural ambassador to the digital hospitality room. And I've sent one of my envoys, Scott Turner, to help educate the North Americans on the English language. But Michael, I have a quick question for you. If
Please.
you're hungry between breakfast and lunch, what do you call that meal?
Call it a snack or a
No.
or a brunch, I guess, if it's more of a fuller
Oh,
meal.
Is that fourth meal?
close, very close, Stover. We call it elevensies, which is
Elevensies.
a light snack, maybe coffee, tea, biscuits, or as you guys would say, cookies between breakfast and lunch. So if you're all probably more kind of probably the guys on the west coast, about 11 o'clock, you're feeling a bit hungry. It's not brunch; it's elevensies. That is my cultural learning for our North American friends.
I
What's
used
your
to take lunch breaks at the newspaper and spend way too much money. And at 11, I would always go and people were like, how could you eat so early? And I was going to Joe's Crab Shack and ordering like crab platters at 11.
You
that's a
sound
good
like a hobbit. That's great.
It's not tea time for me, no.
well if you get up, if you're waking up early to get to 12:30 for lunch, honestly can be challenging. So at 11, I feel the elevensies
Yeah, I mean, I
hunger.
started around 9:45 at that time in my life, but that's all right.
All
When
right.
I was on the road in sales and spending a lot of time out in restaurants, Boston Market was my favorite because you could get kind of a hearty meal of different things every day, but they were open at 10:30. I'm a 10:30 to 10:45 lunch guy because I'm up at 4:30. So
Right.
by 10:30, I'm ready for lunch.
I'm with you. And I'm not a huge breakfast person, so I could chow down on Boston Market at 10:30. All about it. All right, Eric Farrell, you're up next. What are you up to? What do you believe in? And where are you?
Hey guys, I am Eric Farrell, hospitality and food tech ghostwriter, copywriter, the only writer you need to know. I'm calling in from a very small, pointless town just northeast of Indianapolis. What do I believe in? I believe that your kids are not just along for the ride in whatever you're doing in your career. They're the point. You're building something for the future generation, and your kids need to be intimately involved in what you're doing. Help them understand what you do for work, and bring them into it however you can. Make them be a part of it because it's fun.
Cool. Thank you for sharing, Eric. And the originator, the host, Sean Walchef, I see you've jumped into the room. So we'll get right to you here. What are you up to? What do you believe in? And
And are
where?
you on the roof? Are you on the roof, Sean?
Can you hear me? Number one.
Yes.
Can you hear Scott Turner? Hi, everyone.
Yes.
All right, we are driving on the 8th from the Apple Store in Fashion Valley to Cali Barbecue to record restaurant influencers interview with the Scott Turner from Auden Hospitality and a digital hospitality episode with Michael Diego of Wise Assistant on how to use influencers at your restaurant. We hosted an event at Cali Barbecue. I believe it was this Monday. This week has been a long week, but yeah, this Monday we hosted an event. We had 10 influencers here, foodies in San Diego. We created content with Wise Assistant. They are a tech platform that helps us do that. And the funny irony of being a barbecue media company, and I'll let you guys in on the inside baseball, which is I just got a text from our Cali barbecue management group that the air conditioning unit that we've been trying to get installed for the last 6 weeks finally is getting installed, and it's getting installed on the day that I'm doing roof content with Scott Turner. So welcome to the world of production, the world of restaurants, and the world of media. Thank you guys for running the room, hosting the room. We're going to get some great air conditioning content. It's actually my neighbor that has the air conditioning company. So he's going to get some content, courtesy of Cali Barbecue Media, just as a coincidence of a filming day. So.
Yeah, it's funny how that happens. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a recording and it was like, yeah, this is the first day we've done construction in 7 years outside, but
Of course.
why not? So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, live remotes and radio. That's why, for sure. I'll let Scott go.
The big
I
question,
have
though,
one.
Sean and Scott, really quick, is: are you guys on going to the roof?
Of course. What do you mean?
Okay.
Is
Yeah,
that
you
even
always.
what?
Yeah.
Why? What kind of question is
That's
that?
our recording studio over there
I
in Spring
expect better
Valley.
questions, Stover. Stover, we need better questions.
We
Am I
we have
going to
new
the roof?
listeners. The new
Is
listeners need to know what you're all about.
the ladder broken? Because if it is, I'll just get on the truck and get on the roof. Yeah. No, we're definitely doing roof content. We're actually going to do. This is me installing an air conditioning unit content. Go ahead, Scott.
Hi everyone, Scott Turner, founder of Auden Hospitality. I've been spending the week this week in the US. We were in San Antonio at the Bar and Restaurant Show, doing a couple of talks earlier in the week, and then got to hang out with Troy and Jason yesterday in LA. And then the final leg of the trip is spending the day with Sean in San Diego. So we're having lots of fun. Just been to the Apple Store. Richard would like this. Richard, we just managed to get the iPhone for £300 cheaper in 6 minutes.
6 minute iPhone
6 minute
purchase.
iPhone purchase, £300 cheaper to get it here than back home in the UK. So I am feeling very Yorkshire and very northern today,
That
with a nice
that
discount on the Apple Store.
that is very impressive, Scott. Can you pick me up some Hershey nuggets, and I'll send you a list of US products that I need bringing back, and a couple of iPhones, an iPad, and iMac.
No worries. I thought you were going to say hair at the first point there, and I was going to be like, okay, that's a bit
Oh, how
extreme.
rude!
I can definitely get you Hershey's.
Thanks, mate.
Can I
Hershey
get a
nuggets.
translation for Hershey Nuggets, please, from someone? What's a Hershey Nugget?
They're like little
Kisses.
bricks.
We call them Hershey bricks here over in this house.
I just want to point out in my context clues that because I don't know anything about Yorkshire, but it sounds like they're tight with money there. So that's
Gavin,
a
imagine to translate Yorkshire into America. Yorkshire's like Texas. They're very proud. They want independence, and the people are very proud and got funny accents.
No,
that
no,
is so
no,
funny.
no. I mean, I just want to rephrase that. Tight with money. We're efficient with money, and if you look at the Olympics for the last 4 Olympics that have been there, if you took the people from Yorkshire out of Great Britain, we'd have actually finished higher than Great Britain in the rankings and just below the USA. So
Do you see
it's
what I mean about the Texas comparison?
without Yorkshire, the UK wouldn't be great. So yeah. So
That's great.
Well done. Well done. Good stuff. Thank you for sharing. Justin, you're up next. What are you up to? What do you believe in? And where are you?
Hey, where am I is a good question. It's been a while. Have been super, super, super busy with work. Try to listen as often as I can, but it's great to get back with the group. I'm in Charlotte, and I hear that Scott has a layover in Charlotte. Scott, I'm going to hit you up. We should try to meet up for a quick bite or just to say what's up. Um, I lead the marketing team at a company called Vocalize. We automate local digital marketing. I also host a podcast called the Local Marketing Lab, so check that out. I believe in a lot of things. I do like the topic of this group today because I happen to have 4 kiddos. They're 17, 15, 12, and 9. So been through a ton of different stages with them, so got some pretty good experience. But I do believe that, like was mentioned earlier, it's like what we do is we do for them, and we try to build a future for our kiddos so that they can be better off than we were, and just continue to grow and build on each other's foundations as generations go on. So that's why I work hard.
Cool. Thank you for sharing, Justin. Nice to meet you as well in real time. Looking forward to hearing what else you have to say. Thank you. Phyllis, you're up next. What are you up to? What do you believe in? And where are you?
I'm actually up to probably co-writing another book with my daughter. She's 17 now, but she started in the business with me when she was 2. And everything that I learned coming up in the restaurant industry, she learned with me, even though she didn't fully understand it. Her first job was at 4. She was the director in charge of shredding. And because she's been homeschooled since the fourth grade, yes, since she's been homeschooled since the fourth grade, we're pretty tight. And it's annoying now that she's a teenager. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. What I believe in people. Seriously, I think all people are great. They just have to find the greatness and stop being assholes. So, and I'm in Texas. I'm not from Texas, but I now live in Texas. So I am not offended by the Texas comments.
No, thanks for sharing, Phyllis. Yeah, it's let's see, I've been to Texas a few times, Houston, Dallas. That is it. I do have a lot of places on my bucket list though to try. But cool. But thank you for sharing, and thank you everybody for being here. The topic today, um, with young kids, working with young kids, with kids in general, and being parents. And I'll kick it off. I have a 4-year-old son named Ryan. My daughter will be 2 in February, Lucy. And 4 years ago, I did not have a Google Calendar. I did not even know people put schedules in calendars. I just wrote things down, figured it out. But for me, it was really like eye opening when all of a sudden I had to really change the way I organized everything in my life. Completely different perspective of at 1 o'clock, can you do this? Well, now I have to coordinate, with my wife and know if that time's open. I can't just say yes to everything and really learn perspective. For me, I think it really taught me about boundaries too, in the idea of now understanding and coordinating with my wife and with the new schedule and knowing everything that was going on, that it wasn't just about me. And I had to organize that and realize that, and found that out the hard way. Honestly, it was extremely challenging for me as somebody that kind of always went with my flow and did my thing. To now not be able to do that anymore was a lot. But kind of as we've talked about a little bit with this group, like it's so amazing to have them in my life. And I always try to remember, even with like frustration levels, then Stover, you reference like when your kids are home, if they're sick or you're working from home and there's, you have kids around, sometimes that frustration of like, oh, I have to get this done. This is due in 4 hours. And like, can we not, I've heard this episode of Bluey 300 times. Like, can we turn it down? In the moment, there's such a frustration level. But when you kind of take a step back, you realize like, I don't think I could have it any other way. And it definitely makes me appreciate time when I do have it, and be efficient with it. I can't tell you, like, if somebody's taking a nap from 12 to 2 o'clock, like, shit, you better use that 12 to 2 o'clock. Put your phone down. Do not go on Twitter and look at this, and don't get tranced into different videos. Like, it's 12 to 2 o'clock. You've got these 2 hours. You have got to focus. And it really has taught me that value of when you have that time, you really, really need to use it and utilize it. But it's such an amazing journey. I love having them around. And I'm just so cliche and like, here's 800 photos. Here was Halloween. Like, you've never seen a cuter costume in a kid. Like, I promise you, this is the cutest costume in a kid you've ever seen. You just can't help yourself at the same time. So I'm excited for this topic today. I'm really interested to hear the perspectives from everybody, and I appreciate everybody being here and talking a little bit about some of that work-life balance. But yeah, when you have that free pocket of time, it's like, you focus, use it. There's no room to mess up. So I appreciate that, and I'll hand it off to Gavin.
That was great, Michael. I mean, time efficiency is like the most important thing in my life right now with a 1-year-old. Really quickly, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't mention a podcast coming out next Wednesday. Justin Ulrich, who's on this call right now, is on Data Delicacies, which is one of our external clients, and I help produce that podcast. And terrific conversation, really, really good stuff. And hey, there's nothing else going on early next week. So if you're looking for some content to get away from the craziness of everything, next Wednesday, check out Data Delicacies with Justin Ulrich. Yeah, so I have a 1-year-old, Keely. She's actually a veteran of Halloween now. She's a year and 5 days old, but been through 2 Halloweens. So the day we brought her home from the hospital, we were there a few days after as well. It was Halloween, so she's now been through 2 Halloweens, and yeah, working from home. My wife and I both work from home. The nature of my work, especially most of this year, has been, needing headphones with audio and video editing. So it was extremely hard at the beginning, especially when my wife went back to work after a few months. How do we make that work? She can't really get the attention she needs when, I'm plugged in on what I'm doing, and then she's in meetings all day. So we were able to get her in daycare around 6 months old. So that was kind of tough because we didn't want to think we would have to go that route, but it just wasn't feasible.
As a parent of a 1-year-old, I'm really at the behest of. I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear your guys' wisdom. A lot of you have multiple kids and have been through this before, and so I want to hear from you. But yeah, we my wife and I both work from home. We have a 1-year-old. We have been doing daycare through our church for the last 6 months, and it's been great in the sense that it's 5 minutes away. She's right there, but between the nature of both of our work, it just wasn't, we weren't able to really give her the attention she needed, and this way she's able to socialize. But most of our excess time at home during a work day is spent getting everything ready for her, and up until we just kind of are transitioning her away from bottle feeding, and but a lot of that for my wife was getting that ready throughout the day, and all those aspects of it. So yeah, I think time efficiency, Michael mentioned it being as efficient as we can with our time. But for us right now, it's just mostly been getting everything prepared while she is being taken care of. And but I do want to hear from everyone else on this call. I'll pass it back to you, Michael.
Very
Cool.
quickly, Eric, we are trying to bring you on stage, but we can't do it. If you'll leave the room and come back and raise your hand again, we'll get you up here. Oh, there you go. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, Elizabeth. With that in mind, Elizabeth, I'll toss it over to you.
Sure. So I know that I don't really have the credentials to speak, not having any children of my own, but having helped my sister out, babysat a lot. I do know one thing that is important is if you can make sure you have activities planned for your children, especially during times where you know it's going to be heavy, and you can pre-arrange those, have little packs ready that they can do. And I know you're thinking toddlers, Elizabeth, like what are they going to do? Well, there's still things that you can do, and I highly recommend employing Pinterest. You can put your child's age and say easy crafts or easy activities for your kiddos. So like blue tape is like my sister's favorite thing. She uses it on the airlines. She lets them tape on the windows, tape things on onto the desk make little bridges between the fold down the things. But even on the floor, they can make roads. You can tape them across doorways and have the kids throw things at it and it'll stick to it. So get you some like blue painter's tape and play with the kiddos. And I think that's one thing for me is that my sister makes it important that she plays with them. So like during nap time, she'll actually set out their toys in a parade of animals or a parade of cars. So when they come out from nap time, they have something that's engaging them from the get-go. And I have to highly recommend Baby Einstein. You can find it on YouTube because it's classical music. There is no talking, but toddlers are fascinated by the puppets and the colors and the things that come on. I know a lot of people don't want a screen babysitting their kids, but sometimes you need that little bit of help. Final thing is including your kids as much as you can in what you're doing. They love to play act what you do for a living. So for instance, I know you guys, some of you are podcasters. Well, start doing podcasts with your kids. I have a friend, he's a pastor, and he has started doing the kids podcast, and it's hilarious. The kids bring their own jokes to tell and that type of stuff, but they get to be included to understand the seriousness of what you're doing. So whatever that is, whether you're cooking, whether you're selling, whatever it is that you do, try to think of a way that you can incorporate a play time around it, including your kids, so they can start to understand what mom and dad do, and then maybe they take it a little bit more serious that they are a part of the family and a part of the process, even in being quiet and helping out. Because I remember helping my dad. He was a computer programmer, computer builder, West Palm Beach, Florida, and our hands were smaller for some things. He's like, "Hey, can you get in here and unscrew this this motherboard, because the screws are tiny, the other stuff." And so we got to feel a part of what he was doing, and then understand that when dad's working, we understand that it's more than than all that. Anyway, I will hand it back to you, Michael.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and great call on the baby Einsteins. I actually just helped produce a podcast for the New Jersey Symphony, and they were talking to people involved in it, and he had referenced baby Einsteins as something that it's like that he watched growing up, and it got him into music. So I've heard baby Einstein's referenced twice this week, which I had not heard referenced my whole life, which is really cool. So thanks for sharing.
I will say it's not annoying children's music. It's classical music. Like, it's not. Anyway, just so you know.
Perfect. Cool. Dean LeBay, heading over to you. And I wanted to give a shout out as well, Dean, because first time I went to this group, it was even before I was with Cali BBQ. You shot me a DM to say hello, which I thought was super cool. So I appreciated that. But Dean, take it away.
My name is Dean LeBay, L-A-B-A-Y. I'm calling in from New Orleans, and I appreciate y'all waiting for me to get in the room before we really started. Right? As far as kids go, the world has changed so much. I can remember watching Art Linkletter, kids say the darndest things. And the thing is, when they're toddlers and stuff, they do say the darndest things. They say things without thinking it too much of it. And I think as grown-ups, we think things too much, and we can learn so much from our children. My current child will be 23 this month, but she's still my baby. And long story short, at one time I had an office supply company, distributorship printing company in Longview, Texas, and when my wife got pregnant with Rose, we thought about childcare. We thought about all those things, and we said, well, why do that? Why not just bring her to the office? And we did. We raised her at the office, and she got to learn about the office supply business. And you're right, they do imitate you. She would sit there acting like she's playing on her play phone, making phone calls like I was, and it was a pure joy. And she'd hear me ask questions, and then she'd hang up and say, well, why'd you ask them that? Or, why'd you do that? And so, listen, your kids, they're only going to, they're not going to be here, they're not going to be with you forever, and I'm trying to change that. I'm trying to be with mine as much as I can, because I know life is short. But your children and your family is everything. That has to always come first. Actually, God comes first, and then your family comes second. But with that in mind, I think you'll go far. And yeah, put the phone down, turn it off, spend some quality time. They call it quality time. In my particular thing, we talked about this quality and trash time. Spend any time with your children, because you'll learn so much from them. If you've got the learning cap on, you want to learn. Thanks.
Thank you for sharing, Dean. Yeah, I completely resonates with me too. You'd learn from your kids. It's really it's 4 years old, but I'm learning from you. It's wild in real time. Richard Liverman, go for it.
Yeah, it's a great conversation. I have two children, and it's really interesting when people talk about balance. And I think there's something where there's an argument: should you work if you have children? I think it's completely and utterly up to the individual. I still regard myself as a full-time parent, even though I work. And I think it's interesting when people talk about balance. And I think there is, it can be a challenge. I think everybody would agree on that. It's interesting for me. I think about, I didn't realize I set my own business up 4 years ago. I didn't realize that my oldest son noticed as much until I realized that he'd become really interested in business and started asking lots of questions and I suddenly realized that I've become a role model to him. And that's something that I didn't expect when I set my business up. And I think you do think about, what example are you setting? I certainly do now. Although it's quite interesting, he's been lured away from branding and marketing towards the dark side of politics, but there's still hope for him. And then I think there's something around the idea of what can we learn from our children. And like my oldest son has certainly taught me a great deal about Instagram. He still gets annoyed when I call it Tocky Tick. But was also interesting when we worked at the design agency, we'd always ask our kids, do you think this is cool? And if they hesitated for a second, you knew we'd have to come up with a new idea. So I think there's definitely stuff I've learned from my son. And then my other son, he's autistic. And during COVID, he unmasked. And I went from being a parent to being a parent and a carer. And it's totally changed my life in many, many ways. And one of the things that I've learned from my youngest son is how to communicate. I've always been what I thought was a strong communicator, but my gosh, have I learned a great deal from him and how to communicate with him. And I bring that into my work life. And that could be active listening. It could be a great deal of patience. And I think when you join the neurodiverse community, it really does make you think and act differently. And I've certainly learned so much from my son that I brought into my work. And I'm very proud of both my children and, the positive impact that I hope I've made on them. But I can also see the impact they've made on me, and never discount the impact they make on you and what you bring to the businesses you work with, because it really is remarkable.
That's beautiful, Richard. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. We really appreciate it. Mercedes, go for it. You're up.
Oh man, this one's an interesting one. So I did not, well, it's not that I foreload childcare out of an option, but we couldn't afford childcare. And I didn't realize how much school would help me. Like my daughter's finally in UTK now. And wow, that is like, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to send her to UTK because it was actually really hard to get her in. And I was like, I don't think it's that big of a deal. But now that she's in school, not only is it better for her, but also it's just been really helpful to help my workload as like for a stress reason. I think people laugh and say like Miss Rachel raised my kid, but Miss Rachel actually probably did raise my kid a little bit. And Katya. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just always a balancing act. And for me, the biggest thing is I didn't really care about values of companies that I worked for before, like early on in my career. I never really paid attention to the values that companies held. But once I had kids and it was like surreal of like, it's family first, and that all becomes really important because if you have to take some time off because your kid's in the hospital, like what values do the companies hold when things get really interesting? So it's a really fun conversation to have here. But for anybody that does have young ones at home, like I did without childcare, or just has them coming home early or whatever it is, there is a free online school for kids. That's what I did with Lily, and she's really advanced now that she's in UTK, like she's at the top of her class. And it's because I just sat her down and made her do one lesson a day, even if I was working from home. And they like have printouts too. I'll have to send the link in the chat, but it's a really cool thing and it's free. So I started doing that when she was like old enough to like sit down and have her tablet and have a printout in front of her in color. So lots of resources out there.
Yeah, Mercedes, if you could send that in the chat, I'll make sure to put it in the show notes, and then anybody wants to grab it, that'd be fantastic. Yes, and Miss Rachel, I know Miss Rachel is a big part of my life. There's no way around that. So it's good to have. It's good. I find myself singing those songs, and I'm like, there's no kids around. I'm like, I need to stop doing this. It's just me. Please stop singing this. But it's impossible not to. So catchy. Eric, you're up. Welcome to the stage. Thanks for coming back. Even after we dropped.
Oh yeah, I'm here for whatever happens. Man, this is another topic. You guys pick good ones. I love this. This one's near and dear to my heart because I've always known that I wanted to be able to work from home. I wanted to be home with my family. I didn't want to be stuck in a cubicle in an office owned by somebody else on somebody else's time. That's just not me. I'm way too family oriented for that. So that didn't happen for me until COVID. When we got the order to work from home, it was an answer to prayer. And at the time, our middle daughter was 2.5 ish, and she had vision problems and she couldn't see well. So she only liked mommy, and she wouldn't let anybody else hold her. She had a real broken relationship with me. She had to be in a really good mood for me to be cool at all. And at bedtime, it was a nightmare, and I struggled with this really bad. But when I got to be home with COVID, I mean, because of COVID, not because I had it, she saw daddy home all the time. Daddy was working from home. That changed things drastically. And we built our relationship from that. And so within a few months, daddy was the coolest thing since sliced bread because I was home all the time and she saw a different connection. It wasn't just daddy in the morning, daddy in the evening. What's this big gap in the middle that I don't understand? And I'm supposed to like this guy that I can barely see? Well, glasses and then work from home. She's a whole new kid. And now she's glued to me. And our third kid, she was born in 22. She hasn't known anything other than daddy is home full time. And she's probably the most clingy daddy's girl of them all. She falls down and gets a tiny boo-boo and she doesn't want mommy. I need daddy right now. And I love that. But the struggles that have come from working from home with kids here who love me and adore me and are obsessed with me and want me to play with them all the time, that's been rough. The time management that was mentioned earlier, I'm not particularly good at that. I'm fixing some things. I'm trying to time box more, and it's a journey of teaching the kids that they are part of the family. And if I'm the only one working, it has to be a team effort. You got to get the kids involved. And fortunately, 2 of my kids are older. They're 9 and 7. So I can sit them down and help them understand what I do, why I'm doing it. My oldest said, "Daddy, what in the world is a ghostwriter? When you say that, what are you talking about? What stuff do you write?" And her middle daughter wants me to write kids' books because she hears write and that's all it is, and she runs with it. But I try to teach them. I try to answer every one of their questions. They just realized the other day that I'm friends with a bunch of chefs, and they think I've been holding out on them. So I'm setting up conversations now for my kids to get on a Zoom call with a couple of chef friends and just grill them and ask them questions and look at food tattoos because they want to be part of this world that I'm diving into. Because I went from a corporate tech job to the hospitality industry, and they're seeing, oh yeah, this is where daddy should have been the whole time. Why wasn't he doing this? How do we help daddy? How do we make this work? So time management is important. Keeping them along for the ride is important. Answer all their questions and help them see that whatever you're doing is not just for you because you want to have your own selfish career. It's because you're providing for them. You're helping them. You're building a future for them. And I think anything that we can teach kids about the business world, any entrepreneurial ventures that can expand their mind and help them go out in the world and say, I want to create something. I want to go do big things and I want to try stuff and then fail and try again. I think that's great. And we need to teach kids that. I wish I had had more of that when I was a kid. This is a topic I could ramble on for hours, but I'm going to stop. Back to you guys.
No, thank you for sharing, Eric. And you said it, and Richard alluded to it as well. But having your kids involved in your work, I think, is so great. My son, I have a podcast microphone. My son, who's 4, jumps on and starts yelling, saying things, and I'm like, this is so cool. It's like little mini me running around screaming in a microphone. And I love seeing that. So thank you for sharing, Eric. And thank you, everybody, for jumping back on. Elizabeth, I really appreciate helping get the room set up the second time and coordinating it. And, I know it was a little disjointed, but I'm glad. I really appreciate everybody coming back just so we could have this conversation. Maybe it's something, we do again another time with more of a specific angle attached to it. Just something to think of, especially because I know a lot of people who did not come back here or couldn't, understandably so. Things kind of got a little disjointed, but something to think about as well. I do want to note for anybody that does want to host a LinkedIn Live Rising Tides room, if there's something specifically that's near and dear to you that you would like to talk about, please send me a DM on LinkedIn here, and we'll get you into the system, into the flow. And with that, excited to let everybody know, and I said it before, that Richard will be hosting on Wednesday, and it'll be who and how has mentoring benefited your life. So you definitely want to be here on Wednesday for that topic. But with that in mind, tip, takeaway, homework assignment. We'll start it off with you, Gavin.
Yeah, and looking forward to that one on Wednesday. That'll be fun, Richard. Um, I think you guys all gave such great advice, especially like I said, I've got a 1-year-old. We're all we're navigating this the best we can, and I just think the engagement with your child is just so important in everything we're doing. We're um, always just wanting to make sure that we're prioritizing that, and even down to the toys that we really want her to engage with is just more um, more utility. Or her birthday, which was last week, my favorite toy I got her was simply a drum, because she's always tapping on everything. She's always doing those baby swats, and like I just have these visions of, oh, this kid's going to be a drummer someday. And maybe every kid does that. I don't know, but she loves it. It's her favorite thing right now. I got to keep the sticks away from her because she's a little too young for that. But I just think no matter what situation you're in, whether they're in daycare or if they're working, they're sitting on your lap during a Zoom meeting, to the best of your ability, being engaged with them and spending that time with them and helping them learn is just really, really valuable. And being a dad has just been amazing. And it's like easily our greatest triumph so far in life. And it's just, everything we're doing is about her, and it's with her in mind. Yeah, so I just want to thank you guys all for everything you've shared, and I'll pass it back to you, Michael.
Cool. Thank you, Gavin. Appreciate that. Elizabeth, tip,
Yes.
homework assignment.
A couple things. I dropped the link to one Baby Einstein episode, and also Snoop Dogg has his own. If you can't handle like classical or too cheesy, he was like, he was the same. He's like, I'm tired of listening to this stuff with his grandkids. So he's written his own, and there's affirmations, be strong and courageous, and like other stuff. Anyway, if you want something that's a little bit more that you can handle. Okay. That being said, my other thing was, a side note, like this isn't for toddler age kids, but if I'm ever doing a photo shoot that includes children, I always try to make sure that I have, and actually this works for adults too, I have like the cheesiest jokes written down on my phone or in my back pocket. If you want genuine laughs or that really like capture that lifestyle moment, even sharing the cheesiest jokes sometimes will get the real laughs and the real smiles out of your kids. So incorporate that as a part of taking their photos so that you don't always just get the
You
stare.
did that to me, didn't you, Elizabeth?
I totally did.
You tricked me.
Back to you, Michael.
Thank you. Dean LeBay, tip, takeaway, homework assignment.
Don't have any tips or takeaways except it's been a great room. The only homework assignment I'd say is, guys, as this community grows, it's important that we bring new people in and other people's opinions, because that's how we grow. So bring somebody with you next week. Thanks.
Appreciate that, Dean. Richard, tip, takeaway, and homework.
Yeah, very simple. I heard a brilliant philosopher in 2003, they had real memory issues. And I think this is relevant to parents, people who are not parents, people who look after children, people who work. And the philosopher in 2003 said, just keep swimming, just keep swimming.
On point. Thank you, Richard. Mercedes, tip, takeaway, homework assignment.
Richard, that's amazing. There's so many good things here.
Just keep swimming.
I know, right? Elizabeth, your Snoop Dogg, I'm gonna put that on play. I appreciate you for dropping that link. I forgot that he does kids songs. So that's probably gonna be my takeaway for today. I'm gonna let the girls sing that. Right now they're singing Pink Pony Club. So that's been on replay for a while.
Yeah, that another Miss Rachel and Pink Pony Club, catchy tunes. Eric, tip, takeaway, homework assignment.
Let your kids see your failures. It's going to suck, but they need to see vulnerability in you, and they need to see you get up and try again and not be afraid to learn from a mistake.
I'm going to utilize that right away. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate saying that because sometimes that's hard to do. So totally true.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, for real. Also want to note, I'll drop it in the link. I've produced a children's podcast. It's for daily affirmations. It's really good for kids, probably like ages 5 to 10, but there's no rules. But it's a daily affirmation, comes out every day for kids to listen to, and just good mojo for kids. I'd love for everybody, I think would enjoy it. Thank you, everybody, for joining the room. I know we had some fun early with the technical difficulties, but we made it through. It's my first time hosting, so I appreciate everybody making it easy. Gavin behind the scenes, thank you for and Elizabeth for helping with the links and stuff. So thank you, everybody. And if you're listening on the Digital Hospitality feed on YouTube or Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, come join us. Wednesday and Fridays, 6 p.m. London, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. We've got a lot of great different topics and rooms and ideas, including next Wednesday, where Richard will talk about mentorship. So thank you again, everybody. Appreciate your time, and we'll do it again on Wednesday. Thank you, guys.